Okay, IEP parents, listen up. If you do not take ownership of your child's IEP transition plan, they will get left behind. You must take ownership of it. Let me explain. First of all, IEP transition in IDEA is defined at 16 and up. Some states have lowered it to 14. Some states have lowered it to 12. So you want to know for sure what your state says as far as when, at what age your child should expect to have a transition plan as part of their IEP. The second part of that is that transition plan should be a part of their IEP in the IEP during which they're going to turn that age. Let me try to explain that better. My son's birthday is in August. His IEP renewal date is in December. And so he was going to turn 14, which is what the age is here in Pennsylvania. He was going to turn 14 in that, August. His IEP when he was 13, because he was still only 13 in December. So he got almost, 8 or 9 months extra of IEP transition services and supports, because the IEP transition plan should be in place in the IEP during which they turn transition age. So, in other words, you don't wait until they turn 14, which would have been that August, and then, that following December when his IEP renewal date came up. That's not when you do the transition plan. That would have been, 3 or 4 months too late. Okay, so you do it before. The other piece is this: we have a saying, advocates have a saying in when it comes to transition, and we call it food, filth, and flowers. And talking about two different groups of kids here. There are some kids, of course, IEP students, for whom college is going to be appropriate. And if they have the right supports, they can successfully get a college degree. Then I'm also going to talk about, your quote unquote life skills type programs where the kids generally, they may not even be getting a traditional high school diploma, um, and are generally not usually going on to college. Yes, there are kids that fall in the middle, um, and you're going to have to decide, on an individual basis how you want to pursue that. But so first of all, let's talk about the college-bound kids, the post-secondary kids. What I find there in those transition plans is that it's the same 3 or 4 transition goals over and over. We'll research 3 colleges in their area of interest, or will determine a career path that they wish to pursue, and will research the application process for 3 colleges that they're interested in. Like, it's the same thing over and over and over. There are many colleges these days. It's become much more popular since I've been an advocate in the past 15 years. That some colleges have these programs on their campuses where learning disabled students can start slowly, and their first semester or first year of school, they basically get their hand held through college, and they have like a home base on college where it's a room, almost like you would maybe call it like a learning support room or a resource room, where they can go and get extra help. They get extra help in putting together their class schedule and things like that, and still earning anywhere from 3 to 9 college credits to determine if college is for them, how to be successful, and things like that. Those are the types of programs that parents need to be aware of, and you're going to have to push for them if it's appropriate for your child. Generally, those programs aren't just offered like, hey, we have this program. Of course, you're going to have to pay for the college credits. The school isn't going to do that, but it might be something appropriate to do from that 18 to 21 kind of time frame after your child graduates. The other thing is that there's these weirdness that I've been hearing lately that only only like life skills students or only kids who are not getting a traditional diploma can stay those extra years. There's nothing in IDEA that says that, so I would push back on that. Again, I have had kids successfully navigate K through 12, and then for that 13th year, they've gone to a program here here locally. It's at Westchester University, and done that program, pursued another 3 to 9 credits, and then so on. So that is an option. So keep that in mind for your college-bound kids, to not just accept these generic, we'll research 3 colleges, we'll research the application process of 3 colleges and things like that. Because it also, like, that's not necessarily very supportive. It's just like giving a kid a checklist of things to do. And that's not what a transition plan is supposed to do. It's not just supposed to be a checklist of, hey, here's some crap to do. Then when we're talking about our non-college bound students, again, we have this saying that we call it food, filth, and flowers. Because for those like 18 to 21 years, a lot of kids, they don't do any traditional academics anymore. If they do, it's very limited. And what they do are these like kind of job training, vocational training, job coaching, whatever you want to call it, situations. And they typically already have these programs set up with local businesses. And when we say food, filth, and flowers, I'm talking about food service. Filth would be cleaning, janitorial type stuff, working in a hospital or hotel laundry room type stuff. And then flowers, these fluff jobs that it seems they offer to female students who have Down syndrome. They get to be offered flower arranging. I'm not knocking any of these professions or careers. There's no shame in hard work, in food service, in janitorial work, in flower arranging. But what if that's not what your child wants to do? Not everybody just wants to arrange flowers. Not everybody wants to work in a hotel laundry or a hospital laundry room, and that's okay. Not everybody wants to work in a little coffee shop or cafe wiping tables. But these programs are already set up by the schools, so that tends to be what you're going to be offered because those programs are set up. If you want something new or different, you are going to have to take ownership of it and make it happen. Locally, I know of one young woman whose mom worked with her hair salon, and it's actually a pretty exclusive, expensive hair salon in the area. And she got a position and worked with the school to get job trainers and job coaches and things like that. She started with sweeping up hair and washing the towels in the salon, and now I believe she's a shampoo girl. It's what, that's the field that she wanted to be in. That's the last I had heard, that's what she was doing. I don't know if she moved on from there or not. And you might say, well, that's just still cleaning. That's still like in that filth category. Well, you're right, it is, but it's in a setting that she wants to be in. It's not cleaning the YMCA or something, which I've seen. Like, and again, no shame in the people who clean the YMCAs. It's needed work, it's honest work, it's valuable work. And I think you should be paid a living wage. That's another story for another day. But it's not necessarily what everybody wants to do. And our kids should have choices and personal autonomy, and they should be able to do what they want to do. If they want to clean, maybe they want to sweep up and clean at a pet store, a pet supply store, or something like that. I whenever I go to get dog food, I see them cleaning out like the lizard cages and the snake cages and things like that. Like, if that might be your interest, that might be something better. Maybe, if you want to work in a laundry room, why not a laundry room at an animal shelter? If that is, if your interest is more animals than a hospital, right? And then, I have another friend who again, it is a mix of food and fluff, I guess, because he's folding pizza boxes. But he's folding pizza boxes at a family friend's restaurant. So it's meaningful work for him. Mom set it up herself using her connections and her social circle. Um, but it's something that he wants to do because, again, schools already have these programs set up. I'm sure you've already heard of them. I'm sure you see these kids out in the community, and that's what you're going to be offered. And go, well, that's not individualized. How can that be individualized? And here's the thing that parents don't understand is that it's one thing to look at something something that your kid wants or that you want for your child on your IEP and to say, yeah, that's FAPE. That is what my child needs. That's individualized. That is what is their appropriate education. What you also have to be able to demonstrate is why what the school has offered you is not FAPE. And that is not always so easy to do. Particularly, again, using my hair salon YMCA example, the child or the student, they're not a child, they're an adult, the student at this point is really learning the same set of skills, right? We're learning cleaning and maintenance skills and customer service and things like that. One at a YMCA, one at a hair salon. So again, it would be very difficult if the school says, well, sure, we can do that, and we're going to have her go to the YMCA twice a week or whatever it is. It's very difficult then at that point to demonstrate why that is not appropriate for your child. Well, what, just because she doesn't like the YMCA and she'd rather be in a hair salon? Again, it's going to be difficult to prove that. The other thing is this, is that these programs are already set up. Schools are stretched, and I'm not about letting anyone out of their accountability, out of their responsibilities for what they have to legally provide for our kids. But schools are stretched, schools are under-resourced, and you can almost just like see the panic in their face when you suggest like trying to find another program or create a new program. Help them along, be collaborative, use your own connections that you have in society, in your community, to get something set up for your child. You're going to have to take the reins with your child and their personal interests and their desires and their long-term goals. And you're going to have to do this with them and make it happen. Again, otherwise you're going to go to these IEP meetings, they're going to talk about the transition plan, and you're going to get the same stuff that is on every other kid's transition plan. And it's hard to demonstrate that that is not appropriate, and that's what you have to work on. I'm going to put an exercise, a link below. I have this exercise. It's a 4-page PDF booklet. You don't even have to print the booklet if you don't want. If you want to just like load it and download it and read it, you don't necessarily have to print it. It's a vision statement exercise because your IEP is your roadmap. Your vision statement, your child's vision statement is the destination. So how are you creating a roadmap if you don't know where you're going? And you need to do this with your child, and they need to have the maximum amount of input and say in this vision statement exercise as possible, because you want to make sure that the school realizes what your long-term vision is, because they may not be thinking that. They may not know what your child's long-term plans are. And you want to get clear on that as a family so that you know where to start drawing out your roadmap, your IEP, to steer toward that ultimate destination of what adulthood is going to look like for your child. So again, if nothing else, read up as much as you can on IEP transition. I'm also going to put a link down below, a series of workshops about IEP transition. I have lists upon lists of transition goals and ideas and things like that. I'm a huge proponent of robust transition planning, because if you don't make it happen, I can't say this enough, if you don't make it happen, it's not going to happen. Parents really, really need to take ownership of this and force the issue. Anyway, I'm Lisa Leitner. Thank you so much for tuning in, and please enjoy the rest of your day.